Hello, dear listener. We are back on the air once again. Back with you. How are you feeling this afternoon, Simon?
I'm good. I'm recovered.
Yes, good. Good. We had the
office party.
Yeah, with the Car-boyz official office party last night, and some sights were to be seen there. It was a really enjoyable night. I, of course, didn't take you long to get home. Was it an hour and a bit?
Hour and a bit, including a bit of walking, yes.
Including a bit of walking. I took an hour and a half to go 15 miles. Yes, hour and a half, 15 miles on public transport, which will be my moan later on in the show. This is the show that's on your radio, and it's all about cars. We return once again, dear listener. It's the number one car podcast. It's got the whole world talking. Well, maybe a small corner of London Village. Coming up on the show, our classic car selection this week takes us back to the heady days of the early noughties, when we were all listening to Liberty X, wearing cargo shorts and drinking Smirnoff Ice. You remember this?
Yes.
This week's classic is less than 20 years old, but was every metrosexual man's driving fantasy. No, not Ariana Grande, the smart roadster. Filthy mind you not. My favourite coffee, you know that, Ariana Grande. Is it Ariana? Ariana.
With milk. Ariana, yeah.
Could I get a medium Ariana Grande with soy latte? Thank you. To go. But I digress. And instead of calling me Richard, the sign of my cup will say, Lash. Who's Lash? But I digress. We've got all the usual guff on the show. We have a round of global news, from Jaguars to G-Whizzes in car news. Again, we travel far and wide to bring you long-forgotten driving roads from across the globe that are not to be missed in lost highways. And of course, it wouldn't be the car show on your radio without me exposing the contents of my bulging sack for all and sundry to see in the mail bag, which sounds not only disgusting, but vaguely surgical.
And after last night, it probably was. When I put that kind of worms later, yes, of course, the radio show is back, and we really should have pictures, but we don't have the time, the energy, and to be honest, we don't have the budget at all. It's the podcast that the ambassadors who ate all the Ferrero Rochers, Excelente, would choose to listen to. It's a podcast that 9 out of 10 cats would say they prefer. Don't know how they'll say that. They'll go, yeah. And it's the podcast with 11 herbs and spices and 57 different varieties, which apparently they weren't really 57 different varieties. So this week we have the fantastic quiz. This week we're going to be doing something called Celebrity Spares.
Ooh.
But it's which cars are being endorsed by celebrities.
I see what you did there. Very clever.
We've also got our finger on the current affairs button and the news. And unlike other broadcasters, we will be not covering any elections at all whatsoever. And we'll be taking time out to ponder rules of the road when winter sets in, because in this country it pretty much already has. Yes. And we'll be asking, is it really illegal to slide sideways on ice around a mini roundabout? Having done that before, it's not. No.
I tell you what, have you ever locked your brakes up on ice?
Yes.
I've done that. I've looked around and there's nobody about, and I've gone, right, I'm going to whack on the anchors, and I've slid down a very quiet road at 3 o'clock in the morning going, this is fun. Obviously, it was a private road. It wasn't a public road, Simon, and it wasn't in this country.
And it reminds me from one of the scenes of Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Oh, yeah. I am Simon Sudron, and it's 25 miles from home, girl. My feet are hurting mighty bad. Now, I've been walking for 3 days and 2 lonely nights because we've been drinking. You know, I'm mighty mad.
You were just trying to get home, weren't you? For 3 days and 2 lonely nights. Thank you very much, Edwin Starr. I'm really glad the Fitbit I bought you for your birthday has come in handy. My name is Richard Green, and es la vida quanto verde pistola pointed. Botella empty, first 10 rows anointed. The fiesta's popping, all fingers are pointed. Arias vatos, got the crowd jointed. Soy una mala madre, hijo de puta, si tito si. And this is Car-boyz. Right, I'm gonna enjoy my moan. Okay. Just that little bit more. It's time for my weekly moan, and I'm really going to enjoy it this week because it pertains to what happened to me last night. I know I moan a lot. I'm a motoring misanthrope of old London town, but let me have this little wine on this week's podcast. It's my only chance to moan. And apparently the Brits are all whinging poms, according to the Australians, although I do love it when the Australia loses at cricket and the shoe is on the other foot. I call it Antipodean anger. I digress. My rant this week, rather aptly, is about public transport, or the lack thereof. Now, I don't mind public transport. I've lived in Europe, Asia, the Americas, and I've had quite good experiences with public transport. I've travelled around some of the world's major cities on public transport. I've enjoyed the heady, even delights of a first-class seat in a West Midlands railway train.
Ooh.
On the other end of the scale, I've travelled elbow to elbow on a local bus in the Mekong Delta, whilst a Vietnamese woman sitting next to me was being sick into a conical hat. The former was much like the latter, I'm afraid. What I'm trying to say is, I've been on ferries, trains, buses, trams, trolley buses, subway cars, and monorails. I've been on public transport from across the globe, from New York to Nairobi, from Perth to Puerto Vallarta, from a Greyhound on its way to Albany to an overnight train through the jungle to Vientiane in Laos. Some bad public transport, some good public transport, but every single one of them essential for a country to function. My rant's focus is on my own hometown and how awful it is here in London. Not a small town in a distant country, but a town, nay, a city that has more inhabitants than New York, a city that has a population almost twice of that of the entire country of Scotland, a city that has more inhabitants of Rome and Berlin combined. Yes, as I mentioned, old London town. Great city is increasingly the worst public transport and certainly one of the most expensive on the planet. Now, last week I travelled a distance of around 7 miles. It took me 2 hours. I cycled to a train station, waited for a train that didn't exist, and then one finally did turn up. I caught yet another underground train, again, which is running late. Apparently it was running late because it was arriving late. I should use that excuse next time I work for somebody. I got into my final destination. I drove the same journey this week. It took me just over half an hour. To cycle the whole route would only be about 50 minutes. Now, cycling is fantastic. It's very good for baby polar bears and the rare cockapoo bird of New Zealand. But what does it do all this time in this country? Rain. So cycling for work or even pleasure in a rainstorm certainly ain't my bag. Also, we have some of the oldest and most dangerous roads in Europe. The Luftwaffe during World War II did an incredibly bad job of bombing the crap out of the British transport network, as opposed to the RAF, who managed to destroy all the train lines in roads in France, Belgium, Holland and Germany. Hence, we have a crap old Victorian transport system, and the Europeans have, well, let's say, a state-of-the-art highway network. In Europe, roads are straight and trains actually go to places I want to visit, as opposed to a 200-year-old steel foundry in Crewe that hasn't pressed steel for 150 years. Yes, the public transport network in the UK leaves a lot to be desired, and it isn't getting any better. This month, the union staff on my local train service are striking, as the rich fat cat bosses want to take guards off the trains. So you'll only have one driver on each train, rather unsafe in my opinion. How many robbers and rapes will take place because of this doesn't bear thinking about. Yes, for the next month, we have only one train per hour. One train per hour was the same amount I had when I lived in a village of less than 1,000 people in Warwickshire. I now live in the biggest city in Western Europe, and I get only one train an hour. It isn't just the unions that are to blame. The transport bosses have done no planning to the system for decades. They've no concept of how it works or how to fix it. 15 years ago, I lived in northwest London in Walthamstow, an inner-city borough of London. At the local tube station, the escalator, to take you down to the train, had broken. The thing had been there since the late 1960s, so almost 40 years. Unsurprisingly, the company who built it had gone into liquidation. The people who designed it were all dead. It took them a year to work out how to fix the thing. More recently, it was announced that the tube was going to be extended. The Bakerloo line was going to go 5 miles out of London to Bromley in South London. Great, how handy. Yes, until I found out they were expected to have it finished by 2054, by which time my 5-year-old daughter would be 41 and I'll probably be in a care home. So 35 years to build a train line 5 miles, and how long did it take the pharaohs to build the pyramids? And with what? Their bare hands. But it's just not over here that we're having trouble. Over in California in America, in LAX, the taxis can no longer pick up passengers directly from the airport. You have to queue to catch a bus, to get to another queue, to catch a taxi to get home. The latest pictures of Los Angeles airport look like something out of Warsaw in the 1940s, with people being shipped off to death camps. But isn't it, there must be an alternative. Yes, there is. Where the hell is the monorail? It can be done. Look at Singapore, Bangkok, Brussels, Berlin. In fact, in regard to the latter, I once got off a plane at 1 a.m. in the morning in an old East German airport, and I inquired how to get into the centre of Berlin at such a late hour. In the UK, the taxi would have been the only choice. A fellow passenger, a German who spoke, of course, immaculate English, told me I could catch the express train, the S-Bahn, the Overground train, the express bus, the local bus, or even use a taxi. He advised me public transport was the cheapest and the fastest. So my point is, I desperately want to use your public transport. I like to drink beer and not drive. But it needs to be cheap. It needs to be efficient. Give me those two things and I will leave the car at home gladly. And as we found out, I wrote that earlier this week, as we found out last night, when it took me, because my trains were all knackered. And in fact, what I didn't mention is the train stopped running at 11:45.
Yes.
So the last train I could have got was, I think, 10:30, 11:45. So we were going to be out a little bit later than that. So I had to come in. I had to catch a tube. And the tube and the combined bus, the tube being the underground, yes, and then a little walk at the other end. I left the pub at 11:10, got home at 1:45.
It's all very disjointed, and what's worse is, so if you like me, you live in zone 4 in London, if you were to buy like a travel card, that would cost you around just under a couple of pennies short of 50 quid.
Wow.
For it. So, and every year it goes up, and every year it just gets worse.
And it doesn't get any better. And I was going to say, there was a lovely quote when Concorde was still flying. There was a lovely quote about how to travel in zone 1 in central London was more expensive than Concorde per mile.
It's probably right, yeah.
You could have got a first class seat. I don't even know they had first class on Concorde. It was all the same class.
One class, yeah.
So your seat on Concorde, I'm guessing, to go from London to New York was around about £5,000 to £6,000.
Yep, 6.5 in the end. Yeah,
£6,500. Well, I think when Concorde landed, a single tube journey in central London was £1.50.
Yeah,
but that was probably to take you less than a mile. To get on zone 1 and get off zone 1, maybe a maximum of 2 miles within that central area. Yes, what a joy London is.
And at this time of year, I mean, it is December at the moment, and people are going to parties, people leaving their cars behind, and then it's just not working. The city's broken.
I did feel when I got onto the bus, there was an element of Schindler's List amongst the people there. Had they filmed it in monochrome, I would have felt like I was living Schindler's List, just despair, probably slightly more drunk than the people being shoved into carriages and deported to the east. But yeah, not a nice place. Should we do some news to cheer
Let's
ourselves
do some news.
up? I nearly had the bed ready there, and it managed to close itself. Shall I try to stand by, talk amongst yourselves? Views.
News.
That's like at the end of Bohemian Rhapsody.
It is. It just needs Roger Taylor to bang in a gong. Dong. So first off, this week in Wow, I Want One of Those news, Bentley has revealed a special edition of the Continental GT W12 in celebration of its record-breaking run at the Pikes Peak hill climb earlier this year. Those of you that are on our Facebook group would have seen pictures of this. The Continental GT became the fastest production car to ever tackle the 12.42 mile course, with American racer Reese Millen setting a record time of a shade over 10 minutes. Limited to just 15 examples, the commemorative GT Continental wears a similar radium green and black livery to the record-breaking car applied by Bentley's in-house bespoke division, Mulliner. Buyers can also have the number 100 painted across the car's front grille in recognition of this year's centenary for the luxury car brand. Also featured are Come Fire body kit, contrasting black trim elements, bright green brake calipers, matching sidewall markings on the tyres. The 22-inch alloy wheels are taken from the Mulliner line of vehicles, options, and finished in gloss back. It sounds like I'm being shot there. The powertrain is modified with a twin-turbo W12 petrol engine producing the same 626 bhp and 664. I thought that was a drink for a moment. 664 foot-pounds of torque. It can push the car from 0 to 62 in 3.7 seconds and has a
Nice.
top speed of 207 miles an hour. Cost-wise, for this Pikes Peak Special Edition is likely to be just over £160,000, which is starting price for the base model. It is.
So I think the base model's 160.
Yeah, so it's
So
probably,
what this is, 200?
I guess so, if there's only 15 ever made.
I'm very confused. Pikes Peak is the oldest place in America where they've done hill climbs.
Yes.
The oldest place in the world, the Americans don't recognise this, is Worcestershire. I think it's Edge Hill in Worcestershire is with the original. Now, hill climbs, aren't they done in like little bicycle cars, like things like a Lotus 7, and you bounce up and down on the back
in order to get them,
to get some traction. This looks
light little thing.
Yeah, this looks like it weighs about 2 tons.
It's got a grin. The front of it has got this huge air dam. It's got this grin, you open mouth, like Wallace and Gromit.
Or like the guy from On the Buses. Likey, I'll get you. American hill climb cars. Great, a cultural reference from 1972 that nobody is going to get at all.
Probably.
Yeah, okay. Beautiful looking car. I'm confused about the hill climb. How that's done, I don't know. It's the news. We don't analyse it. We just report it. I don't know how that. The wheels look like they're about 22-inch. Yeah, they are 22-inch.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it will get actually round the corner. Without actually stopping and putting it into reverse and getting it round the corner.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's got a great turning circle. Okay, we're confused. It looks good though. I'd drive it. Looks nice.
I'll have a go.
Okay, and a bad day for German car maker news. Daimler, the German car maker that owns Mercedes-Benz, will shed at least 10,000 jobs worldwide as it seeks to fund the switch to electric cars. Daimler personnel chief Wilfred Porth said the number of jobs lost would be in the 5-figure range. I'm not sure if he said it exactly like that, but you get the idea. The move comes the day after rival Audi said it would cut 9,500 of its 61,000 jobs in Germany for similar reasons. Daimler said the car industry was going through the biggest transformation in its history. The firm said development towards a CO2 neutral mobility requires large investments, which is why Daimler announced in the middle of November that it would launch a program to increase competitiveness, innovation, and investment strength. At the same time, they've been suffering falling demand in China, while a trade war between Washington and Beijing has also dented growth. Wow, I wonder if they'll be calling it strength through joy. I can't think where I've heard that before. Strength through joy. Look, it's not electric cars, is it? That's a smoke screen. They are selling less cars in China. Now, I've got an insider on who works for Jaguar Land Rover Group. And she, so not to name anybody, has told me they are suffering because of lack of sales in China. That's the big thing. The Chinese are not only making their own cars now, they're making them to almost the spec of
same quality and spec.
The Chinese economy, the yuan has been artificially blown up by the Chinese government. It is not worth that much. They are suffering over there. So they've also done stupid things like invest hugely in Chinese property, and there's whole cities in China with nobody living in them. People are just buying flats to have a flat because there's money in property. Well, there is in London and New York and Los Angeles, but there really isn't in mainland China where there's no lack of land or lack of properties. So I think it's not the electric car thing. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I think it's really fall in sales in the Far East. And from what my insider at Jaguar Land Rover said, it's a fall in sales in the States as well.
And am I right in saying that also cars that are imported in are heavily taxed in China as well? So you can buy a Mini, but it's like twice the price because it's taxed.
It's more. I mean, Thailand, I think I saw a Mini Cooper Works with the steel frame inside it. And I was working out in Thailand. And it had just come out in the UK. Beautiful thing. No back seats. Just scaffolding in the back. I think that was a £40,000 car here. I think. That's over £100,000 in Thailand. And it's the same in Malaysia, and it's the same in India, and it's the same in China. They are trying to protect the little car industry they have.
Yeah.
China obviously has got a huge car industry. So being able to buy something like a Jaguar or a Land Rover or a Mercedes or a BMW is a status symbol, but it's far cheaper to buy Japanese cars. And as we reported on a few weeks ago, top brands like Honky and Goddamn Cracker. No, I'm joking about Goddamn Cracker. Hey, Goddamn Cracker. Car brands like Honky, and there's lots of other Chinese brands. The MG now. Volvo is a Chinese brand. So if they start making all the Volvos in China, I imagine everybody will be buying a Volvo. So I think, that's hurt it.
Speaking of Jaguar, in Hello, I Own a Jag news, Jaguar has overhauled the F-Type sports car, and it's a beautiful thing with new styling and technology aimed at taking on the Germans. The targets were given to a more assertive look to improve the key elements like the infotainment system and to lift materials quality to the level more recently launched models such as the I-Pace. One major surprise is the disappearance of the F-Type V6. From 2020, the Jag sports car will come with a choice of either two 5-litre supercharged V8 power levels, retaining the 567 bhp, and continuing entry-level 2-litre turbocharged Ingenium 4-cylinder engine producing not so bad, 296 bhp. Nice. In the reorganisation at the top of the F-Type 3-tier range, the 567 bhp performance versions of the coupe and convertible are available with only all-wheel drive and a sportiest R specification, which also gets the complete rethink of spring and damper settings, which are all good because it's a bit of a bone shaker. The flagship can cover 0 to 62 in just 3.5 seconds, and has top speed of 168 miles an hour. I think this is a beautiful car. It's slightly more aggressive, slightly more angular than the outgoing F-Type.
Yes, it's nothing like a Ford Anglia, but yeah.
No. Yes, the windows the right way round.
It does look like a nice car. Oh, wow. And what's that sound of falling? Wow, the depreciation price as soon as it rolls off the forecourt. Because whatever that thing goes for, say it's 70,000, say it's 120,000, within 2 years it'll be worth 50,000, and within 3 years, 4 years, it'll be worth 20,000, and within 10 years you'll probably be able to get it for about 1,500 quid.
And the irony of all that, it will then appear on the classic car section in Car-boyz.
Which has come to us. This is an absolute bargain. I had a boss who bought a Bentley Continental brand new off the lot.
Yes. Oh, okay.
And I remember sitting there, I would say 2.5 years later, and he was like furious. I remember I was sitting in the same office and he was swearing, and I was like, "What's the matter?" And he said, "I can't believe what my car's worth. I've just looked it up on Auto Trader. It's worth £40,000. So I was like, yeah, great, mate. Certainly worth more than my 1,500 quid Daihatsu 4-track. He said, no, I bought it for 130 grand.
What?
Like, yeah. Oh, well, good luck.
Listen to the sound of that. That's the sound of money being burnt.
There's a roaring fire. So you imagine having I was there with my Daihatsu 4-track that was a right old bag of crap, and he's just every day sitting in front of a fire throwing in £50 notes.
Wow.
The appreciation of that car. The worst thing was he then went and replaced it with a brand new Range Rover. Class. Except he got a white Range Rover Sport. And in no way was he Asian or a woman or a rapper. Why would you buy a white Range Rover Sport? I think they saw him coming. I mean, that's effectively, it's a disco with a different body kit. Yeah. It's a Land Rover disco. It's not a Range Rover. Range Rover has Vogue after it, and it has a split tailgate. So you can sit on the back, smoking a cigar, watching Point to Point in the countryside, because that's what they do, those posh people.
Yes. exactly.
Moving on, in dirty fuel news, dirty fuel. The critical first High Court hearing in a class action lawsuit is being brought against Volkswagen for its actions in Dieselgate scandal. It started this week with a hearing over whether the company's 2-litre diesel engine was fitted with a defeat device. Lawyers will argue the case over 2 weeks, with a judgment expected in spring 2020. Lawyers Slater and Gordon, who are leading the class action lawsuit, described the hearings as a decisive point. Volkswagen said it will continue to defend robustly our position in the High Court, adding VG maintains there was never a defeat device installed in any of its vehicles. We just juggled the figures. No, they didn't say that. The company said a specific legal point under consideration is whether the definition of a defeat device is met in certain circumstances. If VW lawyers win, the case is unlikely to progress further. If the ruling goes against them, the case will move to a second phase that is unlikely to play out until late 2020 or 2021. VW is ultimately found guilty. If they are found guilty, it could be ordered to pay hundreds of millions in compensation.
So we've got to be careful here because obviously the legal case going on.
Yes.
Wasn't there a class action suit against them in America? Because we don't have class action.
No. Yes, here. I think there was. Now, for everybody I know that's got a VW, has not had any compensation. I've got friends that have got Seats, and surely that's affected by the same thing because it's the same engine.
Yeah.
I know somebody that's got a Blue Motion Polo.
Okay.
Somebody that has got a Golf. They've had letters from VW assuring them that everything's all right, but no money's been forthcoming. No recalls have been done.
Because I know Audi had a similar thing. Because again, same group. But the thing is, it says I think it's going to come down to definitions and technicalities because it says defeat device. It's not really a device because it's just a bit of probably like some script or something like that written into the actual software that's in the engine management system. So it's not really a device. It's just when
it reads this green light this. That's I imagine what would happen. Now the most interesting thing in VW's defence is that a friend of mine that's a mechanic told me that VW, Skoda, Seat and Audi engines are some of the cleanest engines he's ever worked on. Whereas almost every single French car he's worked on, whatever age, to pass the first MOT, you have to get boiling hot. He said you have to rev the nuts off it and go up and down the dual carriageway, come back, then you can do the MOT. Because until you do that, it will not pass the emissions test. Now, to me, if a car starts up and really running within a sort of 10-15 minutes, if that's not, and that's what he said, it's not that, you've got to get these cars really hot, then French cars, therefore are breaking emission levels.
Yeah,
they're just passing the MOT on the case that it's getting them really hot. That's how you get it past the MOT. So in the big scheme of things, I'm not sure. I think we might be going after the wrong people if pollution is your top concern.
Of course, if it's a French MOT type scheme, a good bottle of wine will also go along.
No problem, my friend. How's this car? It's fine. Yes, it smokes, but then so do I. 20 Gauloises a day. Did I ever tell you about the time I worked as a security guard in France when I was a young man?
Okay.
And we were guarding. It was the 50th anniversary of the D-Day landings.
Oh yes.
Our job was to guard all these tanks. And I said, why are we guarding tanks? You can't steal one. He said, no, but the French kids come along and steal like petrol caps and memorabilia. So stop the French kids from getting in. Okay, so I'm guarding these tanks. The French police turn up on motorbikes, 2 motorcycle cops. I was like, they're really cool. And I'm like, hey, is it all right if we have our lunch in your cabin? And I thought, yeah, totally, guys. Now, I thought there'd be a flask. This would be in England, probably in America. There'd be a flask of coffee and 2 sandwiches and a couple of packets of crisps.
Yeah.
I got in the cabin. They'd taken over the whole table. I kid you not. There was a tablecloth. There was a baguette. And where this stuff appeared from? They were on motorcycles. A bottle of wine and 2 glasses. They were in there for 2 hours. And they said, oh, we're going to go now. Thank you for the use. Anyway, they left. They drank the whole bottle of wine between 2 of them and then driven off.
Were they actual glasses or plastic glasses like we had to drink with last night?
Mate, I actually think they were glasses. They were classy French cops. They ain't going to be drinking out of plastic. I honestly was like, it was like suddenly they turned my security guard's cabin into a bistro. I'm surprised there wasn't an accordionist in the side going.
Good morning.
Welcome to Rene's Cafe. Oh, hello, sir. I can see you are not smoking. Can I give you a compulsory cigarette? Oh, thank you. So, my opinion is French cars, they smoke more than the German ones.
German.
Hey, who knows? Right, let's do classic car selection.
Woohoo! Bit of jazz.
Nice. Smooth. Oh, yeah. Yeah, enough of that. God, it's Buff falling asleep. Right, there you go. Classic car selection. This week, we turn our attention back to the early noughties when the band Liberty X were a thing. We all, of course, drank Smirnoff Ice. Well, not me. I'm a bloke. I drink beer. But I digress. This was a time when smaller was better. The Mercedes brand developed an offshoot company to create literally a small, nippy, the smart car. They started off with two-seater commuter cars out of nowhere, took the idea of a classic British sports car as promoted by the designer of Lotus 7, Colin Chapman, who said, simplify, then add lightness. Well, Smart Roadster and the Roadster Coupe were the cars that did precisely this. The car was launched in the UK in 2003 and was available in convertible and coupe forms. It was rear-mounted. It had a 698cc three-cylinder turbo developing 80 brake horsepower. This wasn't quite the same engine fitted to the earlier left-hand drive Roadster convertibles that a few months before Smart had sent to the UK in response to the first grey imports. The Smart 4.2 derived engine in this car produced 60 brake horsepower, and it lacked the more powerful engine's oil cooler and strength internals. In 2004, a tweaked Brabus version arrived. If you remember this, it was 101 bhp. Envious owners standard cars would buy an official 10 bhp upgrade called the Brabus SB2 to take their car to 90 brake horsepower. It cost £1,000, so it's very rare, and it was offered free, apparently, in the special edition Blue Wave and RCR models. There was the Light, of course, which was a stripped-down version of the original car. They took all away the weight, added simplicity, and they got rid of the alloy wheels. You had steel wheels. Very cool steel wheels, though, really flat. Now, it's the Roadster is a distinctive looking car, being a Smart, clothed in plastic panels that I think you could pop off. A galvanized Triton safety cell inside. It had McPherson struts at the front, the Dion rear axle, 6-speed automatic gearbox, optional paddle shifters, brake discs at the front, drums at the rear. The convertible had an electrically powered hood. Check the fabric on the roof hasn't shrunk if you're buying one of these. And the coupe had a couple of removable roof panels, which was standard. The coupe is slightly more practical. The convertible prettier with the roof down. Which brings us on to what to look for when buying this car. Well, yes, check the hood is watertight. Also, you want to see loads of service stamps. It's a throaty engine. You need fresh oil every 7,000 miles. So 2 years without oil ain't going to hack it. Yeah, that's quite hard. Although most Jeeps need it every 5,000 miles. Don't know if you ever knew that. Jeep Cherokee, every 5,000 miles. Also look for many have been ragged by boy racers as they got cheaper. So check the tracking is straight and true. Look for signs of damage. Pop up the bonnet. Have a look. Make sure the chassis isn't twisted. Look for welds. Look for overspray that could all signify this car's crash. This being said, we found a couple of good Smart Roadster Lights with 85,000 on the clock, full service history, a couple of scrapes on the bodywork. The price, less than £3,000.
Nice.
Now, if you spend above this, you'll get a nice mint example with low mileage. They'll be perfect for a drive in the city or the country. The Roadster Coupe is the one with a glass bubble on the back, if you remember.
Yeah.
That's better for people that need a little luggage room. But you're not going to get more in there than a couple of tins of baked beans and a baguette. To drive the car, it feels a lot faster. I worked with a floor manager at a shopping TV channel, and the car feels a lot faster than it is because your arse is a couple of inches off the floor. Real low to the ground. almost mid-engine, makes for a great on-the-road presence. Cheap thrills, perfectly describes this thwarty little beast. Yeah, we hooned around an empty industrial estate in it, and I was like, this is quite good fun. And you don't notice the paddle shifter was quite good, but it's the first time I'd ever seen one of those in a car as well. For $3,000, it's a lot of car for very little money.
Now, we were talking about this last night. We said that it's probably a solution of what you want around town is a small car that's pretty light, pretty nippy.
Yeah.
Gearing that you can shoot off the lights, acceleration. This ticks those boxes.
Yeah. I would say you want those. You want relatively good spacing between gear changes. But your most important thing is 0 to 30.
Yeah.
Forget 0 to 60, 0 to 30. I would eat 50 to 70. I wouldn't give a crap about 0 to 30, 0 to 40 is the most important thing with a little car like this. It's perfect if you live in a built-up area, and maybe you need it comfortable at 70, 80. Obviously, if you're going to the autobahn, and of course nowhere else. If you've got a long journey to do, it needs to be relatively. But these cars were never used for that. It's a city car. I'm surprised they don't make them. I'm surprised they don't sell because it's a pretty little car.
Well, slightly deviating. I go to the original smart car. That's the car I thought the G-Wiz should have always been. It was pretty decent. It wasn't too bad. It was built really well. But having an electric version of that would have been brilliant.
Cool. You don't forget, and it's not a male thing, it's a people thing. If you make something cool, people will want it. I was in town the other day. I had some work up in Chiswick. An electric motorbike went past me, and it made this noise. It went, and I went, oh, I want one. And it was a scooter. It was a scooter. Do you remember what was the TV series? Not Manimal. There's a TV series where he drove a motorbike. I want to say it was like...
was it like Street Hawk or something
Street Hawk! And Street Hawk, he could turn corners without slowing down.
Yeah.
He'd do right-angled corners. Woo! That's the sound this motorbike made. And I went, oh, cool, I want one of those. And I think women do it as well. I think women go, oh, that's a cool car. That's making a cool noise. A friend of mine, not a car guy, he had a Swatch... smart car.
Yeah.
In about 2002, 2003. And I actually thought, this is quite cool. So Swatch, Swiss watch manufacturer.
Yeah.
And his smart car, I think, was like Mondrian style. So it was, Swatch did a Mondrian style watch. If you're a bit thick and you don't understand what I mean by Mondrian was an artist who painted in block colours. So it looks like very blocky, a block of blue next to a block of white, next to a block of red, and his car was that coloured. It was blue, white, red. And he came to my house and I went, actually, I did take the mickey out of him. I said, nice to see that you brought the wife's car. Are you running that car in for a lady? But deep down, I thought, actually, that's quite cool. And he was sort of a young urban guy in IT. And it was quite a cool thing. I, at the time, had a rusting Ford Escort on the drive, so I could hardly talk. So, you know what? $3,000.
Not bad.
No, not bad. Right. Shall we have some Lost Highways if I can find the music?
Let's have some Lost Highways music.
If I can find the music. Come on. There we go. I like the music. The beginning's great. It's very Clint Eastwood, but then they introduced a sort of electronic version of the Jew's Heart. I think
OMD did the remix version or something.
Yeah. See if we can get them credited.
Lost Highways. Now, if you haven't heard this show before, this is our feature where listeners can email us and give us their favourite roads and the reasons why they love them. It could be a perfect stretch of tarmac with no speed cameras, where you open up the throttle or the barrel and go down the highway. Those are like motorbikes. It could alternatively be a quiet country road.
So you can open up the throttle on a car, can't you?
Exactly, yeah. Or be a quiet country road that leads down to the coast. Whatever it is, let us know what is your perfect driving road. We'll give you all the details at the end of this feature, but we'll start with our first one. Should we do Stacey, who emailed us from Surbiton, nice part of the world.
Hello.
She's always, was it Surbiton that I was thinking of? The Good Life? Were they in
Good
Surbiton?
Life, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Another reference to a 70s show that a lot of people probably wouldn't get.
With what's with Felicity Kendall and Richard Brush. Oh, Tom. Oh, Tom.
She says her favourite driving road is the in the north of Spain from Leon to Alvilos. I think
Alviles.
Alviles.
Like that. Yeah.
My Spanish isn't that good. From Castilla y Leon through Asturias.
Asturias, that's correct.
Yes, is a route. My Spanish, I've never done Spanish before. Is a route that is not to be missed. Take the A66. The actual name of this highway changes, so make sure you follow the A66 high into the Cantabrian Mountains, where you'll get to witness. It's got Brian in there. It sounds good. Where you'll witness.
I think it's Cantabrian, but you know.
I'll just do anything with a Spanish accent, it'll be fine. With this amazing skill of farmers who grow crops on the side of virtual cliffs. If you are traveling north along this route, be sure to stop once or twice upon crossing into the Asturias. That was my Spanish. To enjoy the breathtaking views and overlooks. As you near the coast, you'll pass through the Oviedo.
Oviedo, yeah.
Oviedo. There used to be a cartoon called that in the 80s, 90s. And then on to Alviles, a small industrial town with a really great beach called Salinas. Also, Asturias is a cider capital of Spain. And I'm not talking about apple juice. Just ask for La Sidra. I think that's the right pronunciation.
Sounds right, yeah.
La Sidra.
La Sidra.
Even though I do it with a French accent.
Yeah.
And the cave-aged Cabrales cheese is amazing. Is this a cooking show? It's because I do look a bit like Ainsley Harriott.
Yeah, you do look very like Ainsley Harriott. It's slightly shorter. Ainsley Harriott has been popped on the hot wash on 90 degrees. Actually, I've always wanted to go to Asturias. I've never been. I've been to Andalusia a lot. I've been to Madrid. I've been to Barcelona. But I've never been to Asturias and the north of Spain. I think it looks like a really interesting place.
So Andalusia is sherry country?
Andalusia is all the way down the south.
Okay.
Andalusia is a Costa Tropical. That's Andalusia is Cordoba, Granada, where the guitar and the flamenco is big. And also in Granada is the big castle. Oh. My brain has gone blank. The massive Moorish, the Alhambra. Okay. Yeah, it's not a cinema. It's not a cinema out on the Enfield Road. The Alhambra. No, the original Alhambra is in Granada. There's the Mezquita, which is in Cordoba, which is it's a really old. Let me get it right. It's an old mosque that was converted into a church. I think I've got it that way around.
Interesting.
There's a Roman bridge there, and that's very hot. So that's the Costa Tropical, Costa del Sol. But this is the north of Spain. So you're near Basque country. Oh. It's very green. It's very wet. It looks a lot like Devon. I've had some of that Cabrales cheese. There's a guy around the corner that sells it. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Do like cheese.
So that sounds, and I think you're not going to see any tourists up there. You're not going to see no Brits. So if you wanted to take a nice little driving holiday, it's expensive now. I think more and more people. I don't know if you saw the TV series The Trip.
No.
One of the episodes they do northern Spain, and they go all the way down to the south in the end. But the bit northern Spain, very interesting. Right. So this is blooming turned into a travel show. What are we talking about? Another lost
Judith Chalmers.
Yes. I'm Judith Chalmers. Do you know, I've known Judith Chalmers for years. I used to know her when she was white. Steph2799 writes to us from Gay Paris. He says he loves the show. Thank you. Reckons it's the best. Oh, fantastic. Text the post. Good man. Certainly the weirdest driving road he's been on is the Clinton Road. Here we go, in New Jersey. New Jersey. Hey! It's 10 miles of tarmac through the woods. It's located in West Milford, Passaic County, said to be the scariest road in America. Dun, dun, dun. We should have done this on Halloween. The place has become infamous due to the strange activity which occurs at night. Hello. There's some dogging going on there. This includes satanic cults. Where are we going with this?
What?
KKK gatherings, ghost sightings, some kind of hellhound It's one of the top haunted roads in the world. A deserted and dangerous road. This is weird, from cooking show to horror roads. Located off Route 23 in West Milford, has no homes along the road, no connecting roads. The Clinton Road is very curvy and keeps on winding around between different bodies of water. It's gained notoriety over the years as an area rife with many legends, or I like to say legends, of paranormal occurrences. Because of its isolation, it's rumoured that professional killers dispose of bodies in the surrounding woods.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, New Jersey. Hey, Danny.
Are they wrapped up in like carpets, rugs?
Hey, Donald's ready. Get rid of them in the weeds. With one recorded case of this occurring near Clinton Reservoir, you'll find a bridge with a sharp dead man's curve. Legend says if you toss a coin into the water, a boy will toss it back. This is great. That's not what's terrifying at all. People claim they've seen the boy's reflection in the water. Others claim to have been pelted by coins, but not tossed off by the boy. What the hell? I don't know where you're going, why you want to... I mean, do you know what, though? I do like the idea of 10 miles and you're the only person on that road.
Yeah.
Sounds quite cool. We went quite weird. I don't know, Seb in Paris. Yeah, he's that sounds very strange. Seb, thank you for that email. I do like. If you want to get in touch with the show, you email the car-boys at car-boys, possibly with something more relevant. car-boys@outlook.com. Car-boys, boys with a Z at outlook.com. Facebook, we're car-boys with a Z at car-boys, 4 Zs at the end. Twitter, car-boys with a Z at car__boys with a Z. Oh, that's really made me laugh. That was fantastic. Thank you, Seb.
Thank you, Seb.
We've got some. Is it mailbag time? Is it
mailbag.
House?
Bruce Forsyth from me.
Lovely game, and there you go. Dolly Deal is coming through, thankfully, Me Too hadn't happened back in 1975. Okay, first off, in the mailbag, where Richie in Coventry, UK, wants to buy a van for work. He's emailed into the show. He says he needs to get 4 people into it. He's an electrician. He needs to haul kit around, but he also needs to get his family to places. Guys, can you help me? Any ideas?
Need something with a cab in the back, then.
So, yeah, I thought a pickup, Isuzu Hilux, 4-seater. Hilux used to do a Surf, which had which had the back, which is a Sparky. So he's going to have lots of bits and pieces as opposed to needing to carry bricks in the back. So a pickup with a covered, I was thinking. The vans in the UK are very small, certainly not 4-seaters. Does Focus still do a van? The Fiesta,
I don't think they do.
A van. So you ain't going to get 4 seats in a Ford Transit. VW used to do a 4-seater van with a double crew cab on the front. I had a thought. I'm thinking, forget what you do for a living, because I've got a relative who's a Sparky, and he does a couple of other, and he basically renovates houses. Right. He's got 2 cars. Okay. So he's got a small mid-range saloon for the family, and he's always got an old knackered estate car that he uses for work.
Right. Okay.
So I'd be almost go and buy the smallest size van you can to do your Sparky's job for £1,000, and then go and spend £1,000 on a family car. Or, I don't know your budget. You don't say the budget. So that would be my idea, is to get a couple of cars.
Yeah, save yourself. You probably save yourself some money as well. If you got an estate as well, get the best of both of them. Something like a big, huge Volvo estate.
Yeah, you're right. Like the only problem is, I don't know where he parks his car at night, but you're going to leave all your kit in the van. And that's the issue with people breaking into it. So if you've got something like a Volvo and you can see inside, you are not, I know, having renovated houses, the last thing I wanted to do at the end of the day was drive back to where I was working and then unload a van and put everything in the garage to get it the next morning to reload the van. Plus, you're going to have lots of stuff that are living there permanently. I don't know if most Sparkies, I would say, have got lots of shelves. So Sparkies have a transit van. You'll get inside and there'll be no room. It'll just be shelving because I'm going to need wire. I'm going to
tool
need
station in the back.
effectively, yeah. So I then don't have to come to your house and then go out again and get some more kit to come back. They probably got 3 consumer units in there and a load of wire and a load of fuses and a load of little nails to hold on wire to under skirting and a load of junction boxes and a load of big junction boxes and everything else that Sparkies are going to need. So maybe best to get 2 vehicles.
Yeah. Good plan. So, Richie, if that's what you do, let us know. We got an email from Carl, who's in France. He said he owns an oldish Ford Fiesta from 2004. I know them well. I used to have one. Says it's a great car, but every time he leaves it for more than a week, the battery goes flat. Any suggestions? I would say possibly get your alternator checked.
Good
because sometimes you can get like dead diodes in the actual alternator, which means it's not charging up the battery as you're driving along. So it might be worth getting the alternator checked on.
Hasn't she got a new album out, Dio?
Diodes, yeah.
Yeah.
She related to like Eminem or something.
Yes. I think her brother found it faithless. I never thought of that. Well done for that, because I would have firstly gone. I had this with an old Citroen of mine, and it was, for my case, it was the battery.
Yeah.
I'd go and get the battery tested. Halford's, he's in France. Go somewhere, take it to your garage, see if see if for free they'll check the battery. The other thing, he could leave it on trickle. So with a lot of car chargers, if he's got a garage, he parks his car in the garage, connect a car charger to it, plug that into the wall, leave it on trickle. Now, and then come back to it and test it again yourself. And if you're noticing after a week that charge is going down, it could be the battery's knackered. So it could be the age of the battery. The other thing I thought of, which is I've had with previous cars, is there's something draining the power away from that battery in the system. So my theory being that if he's got an alarm on it, and most cars do, that 2004 Ford Fiesta will, and certainly my history of Fords is, I think my old Escort used to, when you armed it, so you'd press the alarm to arm the car, it would go 1, 2, 3 on the orange indicator lights.
Yes.
Except the ones on the right would stay on. Then you would press it again, it would go once and they would all go off. Then you'd press it 1, 2, 3, and then the ones on the right would stay on. You'd have to do it sometimes 15 times to get the damn thing to go off. And I think there was a loose rusted cable somewhere, and when it was wet, that completed a circuit. So it could be that. If that's the case, you're buggered. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. What's this car worth? 500 quid?
Probably,
2004 Fiesta. Firstly, change the battery. That's a 50 quid fix. Secondly, next time it goes into the service, get the guys in the garage to check it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, we're off to Canada. Hello, Canada. Lucy gets in touch from Toronto. Emailed into the show. Needs a small 4x4. She's got a $5,000 budget, but it's got to be small as her street in Toronto is narrow, but she visits clients out in the countryside. She doesn't say what she does. Hence the 4x4. I think she's a vet. Let's just say she's a vet.
Okay.
And by that, I mean a veterinary surgeon, not somebody that fought in Vietnam. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
That's a 4x4, £5,000 budget. Something
$5,000. So I'm guessing that's about £3,000.
Yes, Suzuki used to do quite a lot of 4x4s, didn't they? They did not the Justy. That's not the one. That's a small one. They did an awful one called the X90 or something. That was awful.
No, that's the one that looks like the front end of one car with the back end of another.
Yes,
together.
Yeah, that's the one.
Cut out the middle. I had a quick look at a Canadian website, Canadian Auto Trader, I think it was.
Yes.
Other websites are available. I found SX4JX, which we don't get over here at Suzuki. It's a small 4-door. 2-litre engine, all-wheel drive. That was $5,000.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Subaru Justy, Hyundai, Suzuki Jimny is another one if you want a bit more funky.
Jimny, which was the spiritual successor to the Vitara.
That's right. But this I'd never seen this car over here. SX4JX, that 2-litre engine. If
Weren't they a
she,
band?
yes, JX. It's the SX4JX. I love them. They're fantastic. All gay. 2-litre engine, so we're going to be able to do quite nice mileage.
Yeah.
And to me, it looked like a small car. It looked like the size of a Fiesta. So why not go for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Final letter. Finally this week, Jason in Kentucky. Some Kentucky music there. Wants to know if it's worth travelling to the UK to buy a classic British sports car. He wants to know an MG or an Austin Healey from the 1960s. Why? I know they're good and whatnot, but why?
Because you always want what you can't have.
True.
Okay, I have an obsession about one day owning a 1963 Chevy Impala lowrider with a chain link steering wheel and the air ride. Proper lowrider. I'm calling myself Don Escobar and traveling around in it.
The problem is British sports cars from the 60s probably a bit rotten these days, unless they've been cared for.
Yes, you're right. I saw this email and I thought, Jason, you are in the best place to go and get a British car. If you want that, what he wants is a fizzy, poppy. He wants. This is obviously. I'm guessing Jason probably drives a 3.5-litre Honda Accord to work or whatever what he does for a living. Right. I've looked this up online again. Left-hand drive. You don't want right-hand drive from over here. Don't come over here. Go to a dry state in the USA. Arizona, Southern California, Florida, Texas, etc., Utah. Go and have a look at, I think it's Hemmings, or one of the car websites. You can find some beautiful MGAs with not a single bit of rust, and somebody's taken out the old crappy engine, because it was a crappy engine in the MGA, and they put in a MGB-GT engine in. And this thing's like $20,000. That's the place to go. Everything in this country is rotten. They're all rotten and rusty. Yeah, you can buy one for £2,500. It will be rotten. And it'll also be right-hand drive. One thing you could do is source the parts in the UK. But again, that's online. So
steer clear, I think. Steer clear of British sports cars unless they are from America.
Yes, and as I mentioned, if you want to get your letters into our packed mailbag, email the car-boys at car-boys, boys with a Z, at outlook.com, car-boys, boys with a Z, at outlook.com. Facebook, we are car-boys at car-boys, 4 Zs at the end, car-boys with a Z, at car-boys, 4 Zs at the end. Twitter, car-boys with a Z, at car_boys with a Z.
Woohoo!
There we go. Hang on a second. Yet again, we're having problems with the staff. Would you like some music for the quiz?
Yes, please. I think the staff were a bit sloshed after last night. That's probably why. Thank you. It's time, of course, for the world famous Car-boyz quiz. Thank you. This week, our lucky contestants.
Can I shut them up for you?
Yes, please. There you go. Our lucky contestants this week, Richard from Southwest London will be playing Celebrity Spares. Celebrities who look like they're hanging around like spare parts and were paid to endorse their particular car or brand. This week, the prize on offer is your bus fare home, because we all obviously had lots of parties to go to this week. So there you go. It's your bus fare.
Bus fare home on what felt like a trip to Dakar last night. Yes, I can hardly wait.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready and waiting.
Fantastic. So, eyes down, look in. The first one this week. Question number 1. Ex-Liverpool and Everton footballer Wayne Rooney was given one of these cars for free to endorse when he was 17, even though he couldn't actually drive. What was it? Was it A, a Mini Cooper, or was it B, a Ford Sport car?
Wayne Rooney's about 35 now.
Yeah, it probably is, yeah.
Yeah, plays for
I think he plays for a
No.
Chinese team or something. No, he
No,
doesn't.
he doesn't. He play for
Some little small team.
it's Colchester, somebody like that. He plays.
Yeah.
It is somewhere really small. I was surprised to find out he was still playing. I worked for somebody the other day that was talking about him. Yeah, he's the one with the fake hair. He's had his hair moved.
That's right.
From his arse hair put on his head, and he still looks like Shrek. I'm going to say 4-card sport.
Bing! It's the right
you,
answer.
yeah.
It was. He was given a Ford Racing Blues sport car, even though he was 17 and didn't actually drive, so he had to learn to drive in it as well. So, off the mark.
Yeah.
1 mark for you. Question number 2. 80s dancing sensation Lionel Blair. Remember him?
Light on his feet. Sorry, what? Because he's a dancer, you see, light on his feet, you know.
Yes. He was given one of these in 2003 during his time in the stage show, The Rocky Horror Show. Was the car he was given A, Nissan Almera, or B, a Honda Civic?
So he was playing in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he was given a car to promote.
Yes.
Was it a Nissan Almera
or B, a Honda Civic?
Oh, I don't know what the. I'm just trying to think what. Because I can't place it. You see, so. I'm gonna go just off the top of my head. Nissan Almera.
Bing is the right answer.
Wow, fantastic! Hey, we like this. Go on.
The Almera he was given was a special edition Flair model because, of course, Lionel Blair's in Cockney Romanstang is Flair's. So that's why he was.
Well, what did Lisa Goddard get? Did she get to drive the car?
She got to drive around Michael Aspel. Okay, question number 3. 2 out of 2 so far. We all grew up with TV chef Delia Smith. But she was paid to endorse what brand of car? Was it A, Kia, or B, Proton?
Oh, I think I know this. And I may be wrong, but wasn't it Proton?
It was the right answer. It was Proton. Of course, at the time, she is the half owner of Norwich City. They were sponsored by Proton. So she was given a Proton Gen 2 to promote. Awful cars.
Yes, terrible. I've got to explain who Delia Smith is to an American audience. Martha Stewart? Is that
probably. Yeah. Martha Stewart, the British equivalent to Martha Stewart. That's who she was. So that was Delia Smith. So, 3 out of 3 so far. Okay, let's turn up the heat on this one. Number 4, Chuck Norris, the 79-year-old martial arts actor.
Chuck Norris.
He was, of course, famous for driving around in a pickup truck in Walker, Texas
Ranger. Yeah.
But what brand of vehicles did he endorse? Was it A, Fiat commercial vehicles, or B, the Dodge Ram?
Now, I want to say the Dodge Ram. I mean, if I was branding for Dodge, I think we need to look at our audience, and our audience all watch Walker, Texas Ranger. What was that? There was a US Marshals one, wasn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what they watch. The back of their necks might be slightly sunburnt. They might not have just the 4 fingers on each hand, and they might love playing the banjo. I'm just saying that. I want to say Dodge Ram, but you know what? I think it's Fiat. I'm going to say Fiat.
Bing! It's the right answer.
Fiat commercial. Did he turn up wearing like a slick Italian suit, drinking an espresso and smoking a Galwa?
No, they literally just turned up with these little Doblo vans and the big Fiat van, and he was endorsing those products.
Was he doing this in America? Or
yes, he was doing it in America.
Oh, do you know what though? For American audiences, Sylvester Stallone's done it, and Robert De Niro's. They've advertised bread in the UK. If you're American listening to this, go online and look up the brand Robert De Niro Warburtons and Sylvester Stallone Warburtons. And Robert De Niro has applied all he learned from the Lee Adler School of Method Acting to that role. A literally bread roll. I can never look at that guy at the same after those. Complete sellout.
Times are hard.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right, you're doing really well. 4 out of 4 so far.
Be honest,
Number 5.
He's getting divorced, so he needs the cash.
Number 5, we're going back to football. Jose Mourinho, who's the new manager of Tottenham Hotspur, the greatest team in the world.
Apparently.
He was the first customer to take delivery of what new sports car? So he was endorsing this. Was it A, the Jaguar F-Type, or B, the Aston Martin DB5? Sorry, DBS, not DB5.
I have no idea, but I'm thinking his fame would have been more the second. I'm going for the Aston Martin.
Is the wrong answer. He was the first customer to take delivery of the Jaguar F-Type.
Oh, by the way, Wayne Rooney is currently playing for Derby County.
Okay, that makes sense.
A couple of years with DC United, I'm assuming in Washington, DC. And he's now in the English Football League Championship side, Derby County, as player coach.
Player manager, yeah,
player coach. And there's a lot of old women in their 60s in Derby, so he'll quite like that as well.
So that was incorrect. You got so far 4 out of 5.
Oh well, okay.
So number 6, Nigel Tufnell, who was the spoof character, the lead guitarist of Spinal Tap.
Excellent.
He was seen in an advertising campaign for which manufacturer? Was it A, Skoda, or B, Volkswagen?
Oh, I think I've seen this advert. This would be America.
Yes.
VW.
Bing is the right answer. Yes, he was seen on the roof of a VW car. So very good. 5 out of 6. Number 7, in 2002. So I think that this is an easy one. Ex-Arsenal and French footballer Thierry Henry was the face behind the Vavavoom advert campaign.
Yes.
But what car was it advertising? Was it the Renault Megane, Renault Megane, or B, the Renault Clio?
It's a Renault Clio. Come on.
Yes, absolutely right. It was. Number 8, Daniel Craig, infamous for playing the character of James Bond, was signed up to promote which car? Was it A, the Aston Martin DBS, or B, the Range Rover Sport?
I am actually going to say Range Rover Sport.
That is absolutely right. Bing!
Thank you.
Everyone would have thought he would have been promoting the Aston, but no, he was the Range Rover Sport. So very good. 7 out of 8. Number 9, Gok Wan, which, if you don't know, is
It's not just a sound. Did you just make a sound? It is actual. Yes, tell the audience it is actually a person. I'll know in English.
It is a person. He's a fashion stylist, and actually, it's also an anagram of something rude. But he was recruited.
Keep going.
He was recruited to promote which plug-in electric hybrid vehicle? Was it A, the Vauxhall Ampera, or B, the Vauxhall Corsa?
Of course. I'll go the first one. Who knows? Yeah.
You're going for the first one?
Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
That's a good guess. That's right. Yes, the Vauxhall Ampera. Even we didn't know what the Ampera was, but apparently it was the UK's first electric plug-in hybrid vehicle in 2012.
I have no memory of this. I just remember him being a big camp queen and pouncing around telling women what to wear and what not to wear. He's got a cooking show now.
Oh, Gok in a wok.
Gets his big fat cock out. I mean, what?
So number 10, 8 out of 9 so far. You've got number 10. I know you love this guy. Sting got a whole music video made to endorse what luxury saloon? Was it A, the Jaguar S-Type, or B, the Audi A6? The song was Desert Rose, if that helps you.
I don't care. He hasn't written a good song since 1986. Since he left the police. Fields of Gold, my heart. He's still not really doing much for that bloke from South America with a big plate in his lip, is he?
Chief Rione.
Yeah, Chief Rione. Where's he now? Has he got his own Audi down in the jungle of the Amazon? Think you'll care about him.
Was it A, the S-Type, or B, the Audi A6?
I think it's the A6.
Oh, incorrect. It was actually the S-Type. I will post this up on the Facebook group later on.
vomit copiously over a picture of Sting.
So 8 out of 10 for there, but we're going to do a little bonus round.
Oh, okay.
We'll do a little bonus one. So Atomic Kitten.
Is my bendy bully safe?
It's safe. It is safe.
Thanks, Jim. Super.
Atomic Kitten were a pop group in the early 2000s.
They were.
And they took the opportunity to endorse a motoring brand. Was it A, MG, B, Toyota, C, Seat, or D, all of the above?
Oh, yeah, let's go all of the above.
It was.
They were commercial horse.
Absolutely right.
That's worse being horse in real life. Sorry, yeah.
Not wanting to miss an opportunity to make some money. They literally took all the adverts they could endorse. So they endorsed all 3 brands.
I once did a radio roadshow in 1997 in Redditch. An Atomic Kitten played. I'm sure it was Atomic Kitten. Because I think the guy that was the head of music for the radio station didn't really understand who they were and called them the Atomic Kitten. They were awful. I just remember the backing track. But wow, so what car brands did they promote? Seat,
MG, and Toyota.
Fantastic.
However, that said, Atomic Kitten, do you know who used to write all their songs?
I don't know. Bernie Taupin.
No, Andy McCluskey from OMD.
Really?
Yes, that's what he did. He wrote all their songs. He wrote all their albums.
Well, fair play. You've got to pay the bills, haven't you? So we've all done things we're not proud of for money, like this show. What do I win? Do I win anything?
Yeah, your bus fare home. So,
is that it? So what did I get? What was my final score on the doors?
You got, we'll do this out of 11. You got 9 out of 11.
Oh, fantastic. Yay. Yeah, let's shut the crowd up. Yeah, thank you, crowd. Oh, well, I'm pleased. And I'd just like to thank all my family and say hello to my mum who's in Doncaster. So, yeah, that's about it from us this week, as you can tell by the music. I queued that up a bit early. Sound, will you just cue it? Yeah, start it from the beginning. Thank you, Sound. Yeah, so you can email the Car-boyz at carboys@outlook.com. We are car-boys at outlook.com. Check us out on the Facebook page, car-boys, at car-boys with 4 Zs at the end. Car-boys always with a Z. Twitter, we are car-boys with a Z at car_boys. That's about it from us. Thank you for listening to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, and come back and join us next week. We'll have more of the same tomfoolery, probably with less hangovers. Thank you, goodbye.